6 weeks after my surgery, I was back in the gym doing exercising.
Wow.
I was driving. Within months, we were traveling. We were going places. I was making up for lost time.
Thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Betty LaMarr, coming to you live from the Bluff City. And now, your host, Betty LaMarr.
I'm your host, Betty LaMarr. Today, we're sharing stories of hope, the blessings of organ tissue donation. I have a great lineup today, starting with Gina Canty, Cozy Parker, and wrapping it up would be Renda Lippman with the Mid-South Donor Foundation. So let's get started. Hi, Miss Canty. Welcome to Medical Talk.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited about this show because, just having you here means that your story is definitely a story of hope. So let's get started. Tell me about your medical history and how did all of this come to being that you received a double lung transplant?
Okay. Well, first, thank you for having me.
Okay.
My name is Gina Canty. I have 4 children. I have 3 grandchildren. I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis when I was 3 months old. I'd had a sister that had passed away from it before I was born, so they were kind of looking for it when I was born, so was diagnosed at 3 months of age for that. It is a disease that affects many areas of the body, but the most significant area is the respiratories, the lungs. It causes chronic infections. It causes like chronic bronchitis all the time, lots of hospital stays, lots of IV antibiotics, lots of breathing treatments. Pretty much was my whole life, through teenage years, through early years, whatever. At about the age of 30, it progressed all those years, of course, but about the age of 30, I got down to about 25% lung function. And that's when we started talking about lung transplant. And that was my only option. I mean, they had done everything they could medically. They had given me all the antibiotics. Your body gets immune to those eventually. So the lungs just keep taking hit after hit after hit with so many infections. So it got to the point where it was either you have a double lung transplant or you don't, and you pass away. I mean, there was no other options.
Okay.
So decided to proceed with that. My daughter was 7 at the time. It was scary. Sorry.
Yes.
It can be emotional, but anyway, it was scary. But I knew that I wanted to be here for her.
Yes.
So that was my motivation. So I got on the list. I waited 14 months and 9 days to be exact.
Wow.
We got the call January 5th of 2006. Technically I got the call on the 4th, and then I had my transplant on the 5th. The surgery took 4 hours, miraculously. It was here at Baptist East at the time. Now it's Baptist Memphis. And it's just a miracle. It's just a miracle that you can wake up, you can go to sleep, not breathing, oxygen 24/7, very little life really left, and then wake up and be breathing, literally, I could see my chest going up and down.
Wow.
Fully for the first time in 35 years or however long it had been.
Okay.
So it was truly miraculous.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit, because I'm going to bring you all back, in the future so we can really go more into it. But let's talk a little bit about the actual, when you had the surgery. Take us there, like after the surgery happened, and do you know the family that donated the lungs for you?
No, unfortunately, I do not. I've sent a couple of letters and did not hear back, which is totally understand. I know everybody has to process these things the best way they know how. So I did not hear back, but I did send them a couple of letters because I wanted to make sure that they knew, if they chose to read my letters, that's how grateful that I was and how thankful. The year after my transplant, we adopted 3 kids.
Wow.
So I went from 1 to 4 children within a year and a half. So that was quite an experience, but I just wanted them to know what their gift had done for me and my family. It was, so I hope they know that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And, you know, of course, in full disclosure, I registered years ago, Miss Canty, not only for science, for my body to go to science, but before Genesis get my body, Miss South Donor Foundation, my lungs can go in someone's body like yours to give you the gift of life. So really quickly, let's talk about after surgery. When you woke up after surgery, tell us a little bit about post surgery.
Okay, it was, it was slow, of course, up front. My breathing was doing well, but of course you're sore and all that stuff, so it's a little slow. But 6 weeks after my surgery, I was back in the gym doing exercising.
Wow.
I was driving. Within months, we were traveling, we were going places, I was making up for lost time that I had lost sitting for those years, basically not able to do much of anything. So it was a totally different life. Once I woke up, it was no looking back after that. So,
Okay, so who was your surgeon, Gina?
Dr. Garrett at Baptist,
Okay.
he's very, very well known.
Yes.
He's a wonderful man. He's brilliant, brilliantly smart. Yeah, so he is definitely a gift to us here in Memphis.
Okay, so when you first went in for your surgery, did they give you you have a percent chance of the lungs working? Can the body reject lungs like it can other organs?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Rejection can start immediately. Rejection can start within hours of surgery. To be honest with you, I don't remember the statistics because I just wasn't going to dwell on that.
Yes.
I knew that anything was possible. I knew that my God was bigger than any statistics.
Yes.
So I just didn't really dwell on it. But, the statistics weren't great. It was, it's a significant surgery, and there's
Yes.
significant risk with that. But I just knew that was my only chance of living, and I was willing to take that chance. So
That's right. Well, I'm very happy that you did. Is there
thank you. I'm very blessed for sure.
You are. And look, in this last minute, I would like for you to speak to the viewers about what they need to know about this gift of life for those people that may be on the fence about becoming a donor themselves.
For sure. I wish I could talk for 2 hours about that. The importance of being a donor is the fact that I would not be here if it wasn't for the selfless act of donation from another family or another individual, whether it was her choice, whether she wrote it on her driver's license, whether her family made that decision for her. I wouldn't be here. My kids wouldn't have their mother. My husband would not have his wife. And I guess the answer is why not? You don't need them where you're going. Heaven doesn't need organs. God doesn't need organs.
Okay.
That if you can help somebody here in a tragedy, which is a horrible, horrible tragedy happens, if you can help somebody or possibly even save a life or affect many lives, why wouldn't you want to do that? If there's some positive come out of what is truly a tragedy and a deep sadness, but at least something positive can come out of it.
Thank you so much, Miss Canty. I appreciate you so much for sharing your story of hope. Stay tuned for more medical talk with another story of hope with Kosi Parker.
Hi, I'm Angelica reporting live from LaMarr Productions in East Memphis. Thanks for watching Let's Talk with Betty LaMarr. Betty is renowned for her successful medical talk show, and now you're invited to watch the space for her new production, Let's Talk, which is laser focused on issues affecting young girls and women in the community. Now, back to Let's Talk with your host, Betty LaMarr.
I'm Betty LaMarr. We're talking about stories of hope, and joining me is Miss Kosi Parker. Hi, Miss Parker. Welcome to Medical Talk.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your story of hope. When did you first know that something was going on with something was going on with you? I want you to tell us your story.
Okay. On February 15th, 2014, I went to work worked a 12-hour shift, and I wasn't feeling well and hadn't been feeling well for a while, but I was being treated for upper respiratory infection and my asthma. So that particular night, it got so bad, that particular evening, it got so bad. So I said I was going in to the emergency room. So I drove over to Oxford, Mississippi, and told them there I was being bothered with my asthma. All I needed was a shot, and you can send me home. So they ran tests, did some background, some follow-up, and ended up admitting me on that particular night.
Okay.
And of course, me being the person I am, was like, I've only been bothered by asthma all my life, so why are y'all admitting me for asthma? So we ended up staying there for a day. They did more testing. And the doctor at that time, his name was Dr. Landers, and came in and said that some things looked abnormal.
Oh, wow.
So looked like I had an enlarged heart. So he wanted to send me for further evaluation. So he contacted Todd Edwards, who's actually my cardiologist now.
Okay.
And they transferred me to Baptist East in Memphis, Tennessee. I found out then, that would have been the following Monday, I found out that I was in need of a heart transplant.
Wow.
My heart was only functioning at 5%, which is less than a person that would be, a female that would be 70 years old. And at the time, as I've said, I was 32.
Oh, wow. Okay, take me there. How long were you actually in the hospital? How long did it take before you actually got your donor?
Okay. I stayed at Baptist East for 5 weeks.
Okay.
So it would have been that February 16th, 17th that I was admitted in at Baptist East. My room number was 2131.
Okay.
That was my home for the next 5 weeks. The process, basically, I underwent a lot of testing. I ended up having to have another surgery that was on my legs. They found 12 clots.
Oh, my God.
I had a clot that tried to embolize. And that particular day, I was sitting on my phone talking. My parents had stepped out. And when they came in, I could literally see them moving their mouths, making movements within the room, but I couldn't move. I couldn't hear them or anything. But that's when I found out it was a clot that was trying to embolize, and they took me back, and I had to have immediate surgery. Thank God that that particular clot dissolved, but they were able to find the other clots, remove those.
Okay, well, Miss Parker, I'm going to jump in, okay? Because I'm going to move you forward, because we're going to do this again in the future. But today, we're on this limited schedule, and your story is so amazing. You don't meet people every day that've had a heart transplant, okay? So I don't want to miss anything. So let's go to the actual when you got the phone call that a heart was available for you. Take us there to that moment.
I had went to Baptist East for my labs and clinic on April 8th. Home, probably about 9 o'clock that night, I received a phone call that there was a heart available for me. And from there, I went in. They prepped me. We prayed. We cried. We did a lot of things.
Yes.
And on April 9th, I received my heart.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. It was amazing. I lost about 24 hours of my time um, due to the surgery because it took about that long for them to take out my heart and put my donor's heart back in.
Wow.
Um, but yes, ma'am.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud. My uncle also is a
Mm-hmm.
heart transplant recipient, and he was there for actually a few months. He lives in Sardis, Mississippi. So we have like 1 minute, and we're gonna have to wrap this up until we have a follow-up, okay? So
Okay.
speak to the viewers in this 1 minute, and just say, for those people that may be considering, being a donor, how this has affected your life for those people that are on the fence about doing it themselves.
Um, you're giving hope to someone that has lost hope. It could be your mother, it could be your father, your sister, or your brother. You never know who it is that you'll be able to help by donating life, giving them the opportunity of another chance. So it is so important to sign up and just think about the possibilities, the people that you can help going forward just by becoming a donor.
Thank you so much, Ms. Parker. I appreciate you so much. And I'm just
Thank you.
excited to sit here to be speaking with someone that have that story of hope. And you keep moving forward, and I'm so proud of you. And I will have you back.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll be right back with a word from Mid-South Donor Foundation, the manager of community outreach, Randa Lipman.
I'm an animal person. Obviously. I love to snuggle them and spoil them all day long. But not all animals have this luxury. There are about 70 million stray animals living on the streets. That's roughly 5 strays to every homeless person in America. About 1.5 million dogs and cats in shelters get euthanized every year. Animals rescued from the street are taken to one of 3,500 shelters. And adopting is less expensive from buying an animal from a breeder. All animals deserve to have a loving home and positive human attention. So this one? She likes to steal the show whenever she can. Next time you decide to bring an animal into your home, change your life and theirs for the better by adopting at your local animal shelter.
I'm Betty LaMarr. Joining me now is Randa Lipman, representing the Mid-South Donor Foundation. Hi, Randa. Welcome to Medical Talk.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited. I just had a conversation with Cozy, and I just had a conversation with Gina, and it was so wonderful. Now, where does Mid-South Donor Foundation fit in with all of this?
So I have to say, those stories are the reason that we do what we do.
Okay.
So for more than 40 years, the Mid-South Transplant Foundation has worked in the process to bring both donor families and recipients together. And part of what we do is go out into the community and educate both the public and in hospitals to educate professionals in those types of settings. And then ultimately what we want to also do is fulfill the end-of-life wishes that people have.
Okay, so Randa, let's talk about one of the myths and misconceptions that people have about if they donate their organs, they may not let me live because they want my organs. Would you please explain to our
Yes.
viewers that process, please?
Yes, we hear that so often, and it could not be further from the truth. In the first place, the staff that are in the emergency rooms have taken an oath to save lives. Usually at that point, when someone is brought into the emergency room, a lot of times they don't even know what their name is, much less what their wishes are.
Right.
No one at any hospital can access the donor registry records. Only the staff from Mid-South Transplant Foundation can do that, and we have access to that record 24/7. And the other thing I think that is so important is that an emergency room physician and staff is not the same as a transplant surgeon. It's two completely different skill sets.
Yes.
So you're not dealing even with the same type of physician, and it just doesn't happen. In the ER, they are trying to save lives so that you can either go home or if that is impossible and you have been declared brain dead, then they're going to do everything possible to save your life so that others can be saved.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the driver's license and how important that is. And does that really matter if you sign your driver's license, Randa, that you want to be a donor? Can somebody override that after your death?
The best thing to do really is to register on the registry when you get or renew your driver's license, because that counts as a legal binding document that cannot be overturned.
Okay.
But that way, the great thing about having it in the registry is that we can access that 24/7, because oftentimes when tragedy hits, it might be after hours or during the night. You might not even have your license with you.
Right.
So it's always better. And you can update those wishes anytime online by going to the state registry. You can actually visit our website and it will take you to any state registry where you live at midsouhtransplant.org and make your wishes known. And then it's so important, Betty, to share that information with your family, because so many times in the middle of a tragedy, your family members are wondering what did my loved one want?
Right.
And it's really not fair to them, and vice versa. You want to know how they feel as well, so that in the middle of a crisis, you don't have to make that decision too.
Okay, well, speaking of tragedies in the body, I've had Genesis with me. This is a part of the series. And how do you all work in conjunction with Mary Genesis?
Yeah, so we are all about saving lives, and we work closely with the Genesis program so that if you wanted to donate your body to science afterwards, you can still donate your organs first and then and or your tissues, and then donate your body. So we're all about saving lives, and it doesn't matter if you're young or old or rich or poor or black or white. Donation and the need is something that affects everyone, and you never know when that need might hit, or when it might be a family member or a friend or a loved one. So it's always better to have that conversation and make those decisions now while everyone is healthy.
Yes.
And then talk about it. Let's talk about it and tell your family how you feel.
Yes, because Randa, in full disclosure, I registered a long time ago. I actually was at work at Methodist Hospital back then. I registered. I just went online and registered, and I made my wishes known to my beneficiary, because I don't have children. So she'd known for years what my wishes are, because I wouldn't want anyone to make that decision for me, because their decision may not be mine. But in this last minute, Randa, I want you to just speak to the viewers to give them any information they need about your foundation, okay?
Yeah, so it's so important for people to understand that one person can save up to 8 lives with organ donation and enhance another 75 with tissue donation, which would include things like skin for burn victims or mastectomy repairs and things like that. And our organization has continued to work through COVID and everything else with our hospitals. And we cover parts of Tennessee, Arkansas, and Mississippi. And we have all continued to work together to save lives because the need is so great. Right now, there's more than 107,000 people on the national waiting list. And of that list, more than 4,000 are right here in the Mid-South. And the vast majority of that list are those waiting for a kidney due to the high degree of high blood pressure and diabetes in our area.
Well, Randa, I would like to thank you so much for being my guest on Medical Talk today. And I would like to thank you for setting me up with Gina and Cozy. It was really wonderful. I would like to encourage you to consider being an organ tissue donor. These stories of hope today are possible because someone gave the gift of life.